Did you know that your prostate might be under daily attack from foods you think are perfectly safe? It's true. These common items on your dinner plate could be doing more harm than good. If you're over 50 and finding yourself making frequent trips to the bathroom at night, dealing with a weak urinary flow, or feeling like you can't fully empty your bladder, you might be surprised to learn that the real culprits aren't just age or genetics. They could be right there in your diet, hiding in plain sight. But don't worry, I'm here to help you identify these foods and take action. Today I'm going to shine a light on 3 everyday foods that can sabotage your prostate health. While most advice focuses on what to add to your diet, like more tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, or green tea, no one talks about the inflammatory triggers you might be consuming daily. It's like trying to fill a bathtub while the drain is wide open. So let's dive in and discover how you can protect your prostate health by making informed choices. So what are these sneaky saboteurs? You might be trying to fill your plate with all the right foods, but if you don't address what's already there, you might not see the results you're hoping for. The 3 foods I'm about to share with you aren't anything out of the ordinary. In fact, they're common staples in many men's diets. You'll find them in mainstream nutrition advice and likely consume them without a second thought. But here's the catch. Inside your body, these foods can trigger a wave of inflammation, throw your hormones out of balance, and cause cellular stress. This trio can lead to an enlarged prostate, irritate your urinary tract, and even speed up the aging process in your pelvic region. Let's dive in and find out what these foods are so you can make more informed choices for your health. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our new uploads. Let's dive right in. Enemy number 1. Dairy. Our first undercover enemy lurking in your kitchen. Dairy products. Now, I get that this might stir up some controversy, especially since dairy has long been touted as essential for strong bones and a good source of protein. However, let's take a moment to look at what the research really says. Studies indicate a strong link between dairy consumption and issues like prostate enlargement and inflammation, particularly in men over the age of 50. When you enjoy milk, cheese, yogurt, or ice cream, you're not just savoring a tasty treat. You're also consuming a mix of hormones, growth factors, and proteins that nature designed to help a baby calf grow into a hefty 1,000-pound animal. Sounds impressive, right? But here's the catch. Those same growth signals can also trigger unwanted growth in your prostate. One of the main culprits is a hormone called insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1, which is abundant in dairy products. This hormone encourages cells to grow and multiply. And that's precisely what you don't want happening in your prostate. Research shows that men who consume 3 or more servings of dairy each day often face larger prostates and more severe urinary symptoms compared to those who steer clear of dairy. So what's going on here? The hormones and growth factors in dairy can stimulate prostate tissue growth, leading to a condition known as benign prostatic hyperplasia, or an enlarged prostate. But it's not just about size. Dairy can also spark inflammation throughout your body, including in the sensitive tissues around your prostate. Interestingly, many men over 50 begin to experience some level of lactose intolerance as the enzyme that helps digest milk sugar diminishes with age. Even if you don't notice any obvious digestive issues, that undigested lactose can create low-grade inflammation affecting your entire pelvic area. Plus, the proteins in dairy, especially casein, can trigger immune responses in some individuals. Your immune system may recognize these proteins as invaders, leading to chronic inflammation in your prostate, which can cause all sorts of problems. Let me share a story about a man named Gene, who's 63 years old. He found himself waking up 5 times a night to use the bathroom. He loved his morning cereal with milk, snacked on cheese in the afternoon, and indulged in ice cream in the evening. When I suggested he cut out dairy, he was skeptical, but desperate for relief. Within just 10 days, he noticed a significant improvement. With only 2 nighttime trips to the bathroom, by the 3-week mark, he was sleeping through most nights, only waking up briefly once. His daytime urgency decreased, and he felt less pressure and discomfort in his pelvic area, all from eliminating dairy. Curious about the results, Gene tried reintroducing cheese after a month, only to have his symptoms return within 48 hours. His body was sending him a clear message about what wasn't working for him. Now, before you start worrying about calcium and bone health, let me reassure you. Dairy isn't the only, nor the best, source of calcium. Leafy greens like kale and collards, sesame seeds, almonds, sardines with bones, and fortified plant-based milks all provide fantastic calcium without the added hormones and inflammatory proteins found in dairy. So, rest easy. Your bones will be just fine, and your prostate will thank you for it. Now, let's move to the next sneaky food. Enemy number 2. Refined sugar. Let's talk about the second enemy of your prostate, refined sugar. This one's particularly sneaky because it's hiding in so many of the foods we eat every day. We're talking about refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Now, these aren't just empty calories that pack on the pounds. They're actually inflammatory agents that can harm your prostate and speed up its enlargement. When you indulge in refined sugar, your blood sugar levels can spike quickly. In response, your pancreas releases insulin to help bring that sugar back down. But here's the catch. If your insulin levels stay high over time, it can lead to more than just diabetes. Elevated insulin can promote prostate growth through several pathways. For example, it boosts the production of IGF-1, a growth factor similar to what we find in dairy. Plus, it can trigger inflammation throughout your vascular system, including the tiny blood vessels that supply your prostate. Now let's not forget high fructose corn syrup, common in sodas, sweetened drinks, processed snacks, and even many breads and sauces. This ingredient is especially harmful because fructose is metabolized differently from glucose. It primarily gets processed in the liver, where it can lead to fat production and inflammation. Unfortunately, this isn't just a liver issue. It can cause systemic inflammation that affects every organ, including your prostate. Studies have shown that men who consume higher amounts of sugar tend to have larger prostates, more severe urinary symptoms, and a quicker progression of prostate enlargement. The chronic inflammation fueled by sugar can also make your bladder more sensitive, increasing urgency and frequency, not just from prostate enlargement alone. So let's take a moment to think about your typical day. That sweetened coffee in the morning, the granola bar at mid-morning, the sandwich on white bread for lunch, the afternoon soda or sweet tea, and let's not forget the pasta with sauce at dinner and those tempting cookies for dessert. Each of these choices sends your blood sugar on a roller coaster ride, triggering insulin release and stoking the inflammatory fire in your prostate. Day after day, year after year, your prostate is under constant attack. Now, you might be thinking the solution is to simply swap in artificial sweeteners. But that's not the answer either. Those have their own set of problems. Instead, the goal should be to dramatically cut back on sugary foods and retrain your taste buds to enjoy foods in their natural state. Fruits are a great alternative. They offer sweetness along with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants that help mitigate sugar's impact. In contrast, processed foods with added sugars provide concentrated sweetness but zero nutritional value, just pure inflammatory potential. Let me share a story about Ron, a 59-year-old man who was pre-diabetic and struggling with worsening prostate symptoms. His urologist suggested medication, but Ron decided to try lifestyle changes first. He was consuming over 100 grams of added sugar daily, much of it from beverages and processed snacks he didn't even realize were sweetened. By eliminating all added sugars and focusing on whole foods, lean proteins, vegetables, and limited fruit, he made some impressive changes. Within just 2 weeks, his fasting blood sugar dropped significantly. After 4 weeks, his nighttime trips to the bathroom decreased from 4 times to just once or twice. And by 8 weeks, he noticed a marked improvement in his urinary flow, making daytime urgency much more manageable. His urologist was so impressed, they decided to postpone medication and continue monitoring Ron's progress. It turns out that Ron's prostate responded positively to the elimination of constant sugar-driven inflammation. Now, let's move on to our number 3 enemy, processed vegetable oil. This one might catch you off guard. Processed vegetable oils. You might be surprised to learn that oils like soybean oil, corn oil, and canola oil are lurking in a lot of the foods we eat every day. They're found in salad dressings, mayonnaise, fried foods, baked goods, snack foods, and even in many restaurant meals. These oils are often marketed as heart-healthy because they're low in saturated fat. But the truth about their effects on prostate health is quite different. These industrially processed oils are packed with omega-6 fatty acids. While our bodies do need some omega-6, the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids is really important. The ideal ratio is around 4:1 or even lower. But in today's typical diet, that ratio can be as high as 20:1 or more. This imbalance can lead to increased inflammation throughout your body. Here's why that matters. Omega-6 fatty acids can be converted into inflammatory compounds called prostaglandins and leukotrienes. These molecules send signals to your immune system to ramp up inflammation. So when you consume a lot of omega-6 oils but not enough omega-3s from sources like fish, you're essentially adding fuel to the inflammatory fire, especially in your prostate. On top of that, These oils are extracted using high heat and chemical solvents, which can create oxidized and rancid fats even before they reach your kitchen. These damaged fats can cause oxidative stress at the cellular level, harming cell membranes and DNA. Your prostate cells are particularly at risk because they have a high metabolic rate and are exposed to hormones that can become more harmful in an oxidative environment. Studies have shown clear differences between populations with varying dietary fat intakes. Those who consume primarily omega-3 rich fats from fish and omega-9 fats from olive oil tend to have much lower rates of prostate enlargement and inflammation, in stark contrast to those who eat a lot of processed vegetable oils. The difference is not just noticeable, it's dramatic. Now here's where it gets tricky. Processed vegetable oils are everywhere. You might think you're making a healthy choice with a grilled chicken salad at a restaurant, but that salad dressing likely contains soybean or canola oil. The chicken may have been marinated in oil, and those croutons? They were probably fried in oil too. Even if you cook at home, many packaged sauces, condiments, and processed ingredients can contain these inflammatory oils. So what can you do? It takes a little diligence and commitment. Start by reading every label. If you see soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, or just generic vegetable oil in the ingredients, put that product back on the shelf. Opt for items made with olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil instead. Better yet, why not whip up your own salad dressings using extra virgin olive oil and vinegar? Cook with butter, ghee, olive oil, or avocado oil, and try to choose whole, unprocessed foods as much as possible. Let me share a quick story about Rick, a 67-year-old man who was dealing with moderate prostate enlargement. He decided to go through an elimination protocol, cutting all processed vegetable oils and replacing them with olive oil and butter. He also stopped eating restaurant food and processed snacks. Within just 3 weeks, he noticed a reduction in pelvic discomfort and a slight improvement in urinary flow. By 6 weeks, the changes were significant enough that his urologist commented on them during his follow-up visit. So remember, being mindful of what oils you're consuming can make a real difference for your prostate health. Let's take charge of our choices and support our well-being. Now let's dive into what happens when you eliminate these 3 inflammatory foods from your diet all at once. The results aren't just additive, they work together powerfully. First, when you cut out dairy, you're saying goodbye to growth-promoting hormones and inflammatory proteins that can wreak havoc on your prostate. Next, by eliminating refined sugar, you help stabilize your insulin levels and reduce those pesky inflammatory signals that can lead to discomfort. And finally, when you stop using processed vegetable oils, you can rebalance your omega fatty acids and lower oxidative stress in your body. Together, these changes create a remarkable shift in your body's inflammatory environment. Remember, your prostate doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a complex system influenced by hormones and inflammation. Every day, the foods you eat send signals to your body. When those signals are pro-inflammatory, it can lead to swelling, worsened urinary symptoms, and an increased risk of serious prostate issues. On the flip side, when you shift to an anti-inflammatory diet, your prostate can calm down. Even if its size remains somewhat enlarged, it can function much better. Most men notice positive changes within just 2 to 3 weeks of eliminating these 3 food categories. One of the first things you might experience is better sleep due to fewer nighttime bathroom trips. Stronger urinary flow usually follows within 3 to 4 weeks, and by 4 to 6 weeks, many men report reduced daytime urgency and improved bladder emptying. These aren't just coincidences or placebo effects. They're the natural outcome of removing inflammatory triggers and allowing your prostate to heal. Now, let's talk about how to make these changes. Eliminating these 3 foods isn't just about willpower. It takes planning, education, and commitment. Dairy can sneak into so many prepared foods. Think breads, crackers, protein bars, sauces, and soups. Sugar hides behind over 50 different names on ingredient labels, like dextrose, maltose, cane juice, and agave, just to name a few. And processed oils are often the go-to cooking fat in most restaurants and packaged foods. So where do you start? Begin by cleaning out your kitchen. Remove all dairy products, except for grass-fed butter if you tolerate it well. Get rid of all sweetened foods, beverages, and condiments. Toss out any products containing inflammatory oils. Then, it's time to rebuild your pantry with whole foods. Stock up on fresh vegetables and fruits, quality proteins like wild-caught fish and pasture-raised meats, nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocado oil, and natural herbs and spices for flavor. First things first. Whenever you can, try to prepare your meals at home. This gives you full control over what goes into your food. When you do eat out, don't hesitate to ask questions. You can request your meals to be made without butter or oil, or even specifically ask for olive oil instead. Opt for simple preparations, like grilled proteins and steamed veggies. And a little tip: steer clear of sauces and dressings unless you really know what's in them. Now, I want to be honest with you. When you start making these changes, you might face some challenges, especially in the first week or two. Sugar cravings can hit hard as your body adjusts to life without those constant glucose spikes. And if you find yourself craving dairy, particularly cheese, you're not alone. Cheese contains compounds called casomorphins, which can be mildly addictive and might make you feel a bit off when you cut it out. But hang in there. Push through this initial adjustment period. By the time you hit week 3, those cravings usually start to fade, and you'll likely begin to feel much better overall. As you embark on this journey, it's really helpful to track your symptoms. Before you start, take a moment to jot down how often you wake up at night to urinate. Rate your urinary flow strength on a scale of 1 to 10, and also note your level of urgency during the day. Checking in on these metrics weekly can be a great motivator, especially when you see real, concrete improvements. Remember though, this journey isn't about being perfect. If you happen to indulge in one of those foods at a social event or while traveling, don't stress. One slip won't erase all your hard work. Just get back to your clean eating habits right away and keep moving forward. The goal here is consistency over time, not flawless perfection every single moment. First things first. Once your prostate calms down and those annoying symptoms start to improve, you might find that you can handle occasional small amounts of these foods without too much trouble. But remember, the key word here is occasional. For instance, enjoying a small piece of cheese every couple of weeks is usually okay. But if cheese becomes a daily habit, you might find those pesky symptoms creeping back. The same goes for sweets. A dessert on a special occasion? That's likely fine. But indulging in sugar every day? That can reignite inflammation. Your body is a fantastic communicator. If you reintroduce a food and notice your symptoms flaring up within days, that's your clear sign. That food is not your friend and should be eliminated from your diet permanently. Beyond prostate health. And here's the good news. Cutting out these 3 inflammatory foods doesn't just help your prostate. It can also improve countless other aspects of your health. Many men report feeling more energized, experiencing better mental clarity, finding it easier to manage their weight, and even feeling less joint pain. Plus, they see improvements in cardiovascular health and an overall boost in well-being. So you're not just doing this for your prostate, you're optimizing your entire body's health, identifying the real culprits. Now, let's get to the real issue. The enemies of your prostate aren't age or bad luck. It's the daily assault from foods that have unfortunately become staples in our modern diets, despite their harmful effects. Think about dairy products loaded with growth hormones and inflammatory proteins, refined sugars that spike insulin levels and trigger inflammation, processed vegetable oils throw off your omega balance and cause oxidative stress. These 3 categories are often the culprits behind much of the prostate discomfort that many men mistakenly accept as inevitable. But it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to choose what goes into your body. Every meal is a chance to either fuel inflammation or starve it. Each day, without these inflammatory triggers, is a step toward healing your prostate. Improving your prostate health doesn't have to involve prescriptions, procedures, or pricey supplements. What it requires is knowledge, commitment, and consistent choices that align with what your body truly needs. So, starting today, you have the truth about what's been harming your prostate. You understand the science behind why these 3 foods can be so damaging. Now you have a clear path forward. Eliminate dairy, cut out refined sugars, and ditch processed vegetable oils. Give your body a little time, about 3 to 6 weeks, to really notice the changes. Take a moment to track your symptoms honestly, and watch how your health transforms when you stop harming your prostate and start nurturing it instead. Your prostate has been working hard, even while facing constant inflammation. It's time to give it some relief and a chance to function properly. You deserve restful nights, reliable urinary function, and to feel at ease in your own body. By eliminating just these 3 everyday foods, you can achieve all of that. The real question isn't whether these changes will work. It's whether you're ready to fully commit to this journey and embrace the freedom that comes from tackling the true enemies of your prostate health. I can't wait to see you in the next video.